We will just wait for a few minutes for our attendees to join.
Sure.
Hello everyone, good evening all. Welcome to our webinar on research article writing and publishing in Good Impact Factor Journal, organized by IFERP. Good evening all. All those who have joined us today, thank you all for joining us. We have a few more participants to join, I guess. So we'll begin once all of our attendees will join. Yes. Yes, good evening all. Good evening for joining us, and good evening to our two representatives here, speakers, keynote speakers, Dr. Mohammad Mamun Raiz and Dr. Vijay Gadeja, sir. Welcome to our webinar, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today evening.
It's our privilege.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time and joining us today. It's an honor to have you both.
Same here.
Yes, sir. It's a great honor to have you both and taken so much effort in joining us today. I'm sure the participants are also excited the same way in joining us on this webinar. This was a very interested and a recommended session from our attendees regarding research article writing and publishing. So I'm sure all our attendees will be very excited and interestingly waiting for your valuable information and guidance. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining today. Before we begin, I would like to introduce to you all our organizers, IFERP, the Institute for Engineering Research and Publication, which is one of world's largest professional association, operating under Technorate Research and Development Association, dedicated for research and development in the field of engineering, science, and technology. IFERP is a leading publisher of scientific research works in highly cited, high indexed, and high standard international journals such as SCOPUS, SCI, ESCI, Web of Science, UGC, etc. IFERP is also a leading association of professionals from across the globe conducting several international scientific events all over the world annually. It's pride to be part of such an organization who has given us this platform in imparting education and exhibiting the talent of our fellow researchers. Thank you, IFERP, for organizing such a webinar and helping all the fellow researchers on this in this pandemic situation. Next, I would like to welcome our keynote speakers of the day, Dr. Mohammad Mamun bin Rais and Dr. Vijay Gadija. The intention of this webinar was to enlighten our fellow academicians from all over the world on regarding publication on research article. So publishing a research paper in a reputed journal has become an important activity within the academic community that it allows you to network with other scholars, get your name, and work into the circulation and further refine your ideas and research. So we all know that getting published isn't that easy, and but we can improve our odds by submitting a technically sound and creative yet straightforward piece of research. So it's also vital to find a suitable academic journal for our topic and writing style, so that you can tailor your research paper to it and increase your chances of publication and wider recognition. So, because of this reason, we have been repeatedly bringing out eminent keynote speakers from various parts of the globe so that our upcoming researchers and all our IFERP members can excel themselves in research article writing and publish their work in a very good impact journal. So I'm very happy and thankful to both our keynote speakers who have joined us, because you are the absolute right personalities who can guide us in this. So thank you so much, sir, both of you. Firstly, I would like to introduce to our attendees our keynote speaker, Dr. Vijay Beg Gadija. He is currently an associate professor at GH Raisoni Academy of Engineering and Technology at Nagpur, India. He has done his doctorate of philosophy in computer science and engineering. He has been working as an HOD at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering Department from past 10 years. He is also a PhD supervisor for Computer Science and Engineering branch. He has more than 16 years of experience in computer science and engineering discipline. He has also published more than 60 research papers in various international and national conferences and journals in different domains relevant to computer technology. He has also been part of more than 30 workshops in the field of computer technologies, and he is also a renowned speaker at various scientific national and international events. He has got a PhD work patent recognized by Indian Patent Authority of India as well. Yes, and he's an editorial board member of various international journals. Thank you so much, sir. We are honored to have you here, sir. Thank you so much. Welcome once
Thank you
again.
very much. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to introduce to you our next keynote speaker, Dr. Mamun bin Ibn Rais, who is a professor at Department of Electrical, Electronic and Systems Engineering at the National University of Malaysia. He is also a senior associate at the International Center for Theoretical Physics, Trieste at Italy. He has more than 24 years of experience in this industry, and he has published more than 350 articles in several high impact journals. His articles are cited more than 5,500 times, and he has received intention disclosures and patents 9. He has also led several research projects, funded research projects, 58 funded research projects. He is also a gold medalist at several international scientific events across Malaysia. He's been participating and invited as a distinguished speaker and keynote speaker at several international and national scientific events in this field across the globe. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us in this busy schedule and sparing time with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much to give me the scope to give a talk here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to welcome you both, and I would like to invite you to speak a few words to our attendees who have joined us today. We can start with Dr. Vijay, sir. Can you just welcome all our attendees who has joined us from across the globe?
Sure, sure. I mean, it's a tremendous move actually, which is made by IFERP. In this panic time of pandemic, you people are, bringing the revolution into the research community, so that the knowledge of research. I mean, sir from Malaysia is joining. I'm from India is joining, and what actually is happening is that the routine of flowing the knowledge of research is not getting broken even in this dangerous time of the pandemic. So you people are doing fabulous job, and I also welcome all the participants who are here, who are a little bit of having some stress, concerning to their life and the safety, but still they are not bringing the chain of learning the things, especially as far as the research is concerned. And I hope today we are going to bury the seeds of research in them, and how to come up with writing good papers as well as to publish them at good places, good journals. Obviously, sir is there; he will also guide them. So it'll be best of luck for all of them from my side, and I
Thank
welcome
you,
you
sir.
all in this session. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Uh, Dr. Mamun, sir, can you
Okay.
please welcome our attendees who have joined us today evening?
Thank you very much. Under this COVID lockdown, when whole world is locked down, we are at home, basically India here and almost every country. So at that moment, this your organization is really doing a good job, and especially when we are sitting inside and we need to do something, right? Of course, we are doing almost everything through online, but this is a good time to write. This is because we have plenty of idle time, I better say, because those who are in engineering side, obviously we cannot go to the lab, but at least we can sit at home. Our computer is here, so we can write, right? So this is a good opportunity for the people to write, and I mean, this IFRP is doing a good job that by introducing this kind of talk, which will help the students, researchers to come up with a good article for a good journal, and it will be a good session, I believe. And those who are joining here and listening to us, will try our best to give you some thought, to give you some info, which may help you for a better article. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I would also like to introduce to our attendees who have joined us today regarding United Innovators, where we'll be providing a large scale of services for all the upcoming researchers to establish their research work in the form of a lot of assistance will be provided by the organization, such as PhD research assistance, guidance, research proposal, thesis writing, publishing their articles in Q1, Q2, Q3 reputed journals, all kind of services or benefits that we need as a researcher will be provided from United Innovators. So I have shared the details on your screen. All the attendees, you can check this out, click on it and apply for the benefits. It's a great platform for all the budding researchers, and you can browse on it and click on it and apply for it as soon as possible so that you don't miss any chance of it. So next we'll be moving on to our presenters. Slide presentation without wasting a moment, because we are truly excited and thrilled for it, so that we can benefit a lot from both of you in this limited time. So we shall begin with Dr. Mohammed Mamun sir.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start. Today, actually, we will today this our whole this webinar will go through two different kind of session. So in my session, what I do, I'll give a different kind of things. That is, you know that we need to write an article, right? But most people, what's the problem that the researcher, even that the students and researchers they face, that they know that they have to write, they write the things, but there are few tricks. I better use this term trick, but it is not in a negative sense, in a positive sense, that what should be the content and how this content need to be present to be published. Because one person can be a good researcher, but it doesn't mean that he is a good publisher. You see that when someone is doing research, he's a good researcher and he is writing the article, and maybe he's a good researcher among his fellow, they know that he's a good researcher. But to make him known outside, not only that, also whatever researches he's doing, to need to disseminate to other world, this is the only way by which other people will know about that research, and that is the only thing that can be done through the writing. Now, when we will write, it goes to the different journal publishers, right? And the editor actually goes through these for a review to send for the second scrutiny to the reviewer. Now, when you are writing, it's simply we are writing, no, it will not go through. It has an art, and that art actually mostly we don't know. So I try to give an insight so that you know what should be the content and how your content will be presented. Okay, so just now I said, I'll just repeat a little more, that why do we write this research article or review article? Our first intention, that is, what we are doing, it should be known to other people. That is, we are sharing our knowledge. So this is the first reason. And there is another reason. That is our personal reason, those who are in academic or research institute. Because we need promotion, right? So if we don't have a certain number of publication, we don't fulfill the criteria to be promoted. So to promote ourselves is another reason. Okay? And what else, that when we write, we actually promote our idea. So how do we promote? There could be two ways to promote ourselves. So before I go for the next thing, I'll just tell that, okay, let's say we are a researcher and we are doing some research. Now we get stuck that when shall we write, we'll start to write. So there are two ways of writing or two timelines. I mean, there is a timeline that is when shall we write and how shall I write and what shall we write. So first one, that we have an idea, and based on that idea, we do research. And after completion of the research, we get some kind of, the output. And based on that output, we write the paper. Hello, I'm just story. Can everyone hear me?
You're audible. You're
Okay.
audible.
So this is the first way. Our second one, that we have the idea, then we write the paper, and then we do the research. So you see that there are two ways. So I prefer the second way. The reason behind, when I have an idea, I need to know that whether this idea is obsolete or it's not. So how shall I know that whether my idea is obsolete or not? The only way to know my idea is obsolete or not, when I will do some review. And for any research, the first thing is to review, so that I know that, okay, particularly this topic of research, whether it is obsolete or in which state it exists in the world. So to do this, I read hundreds of papers. And when I'm reading that hundreds of papers, so easily on those hundred of papers, I can write a review article. And once I'm writing the review article, I precisely know what should be the objective, what should be our goal, and up to how much I will go. Okay, then I will start the research. So those who are academic and those who are supervising the students, it's a good idea to let your student to write a review paper before they start research. It will easy the life of these students, because when one PhD student comes, the first thing he needs to know what is the problem. And then second thing, that what should be his objectives. So that can save his 6 months of life, and it can be a quick start if he writes a review article. Okay, so let's go next slide. What is the general principle for writing any article? That is, we know that those who are in engineering, or also the IT side, mathematics, these are boring subjects. But this article cannot be a boring one. It should be written in such a way that people, those who are reading, they get interest. It's like a storybook. This is the first thing. Second thing, which we do, especially for the students, that when they are entitled to write some article, they just give their thought, they write, then they give the things to their supervisor to review. Don't do that. When you are writing something, write it, then take a gap for 1 day, then read it. You will see that you need to edit at least 50 to 60% of your own writing. So then take another 1 day gap, then revise again. Then only you pass this to your supervisor or advisor. Because what happened that when one student writes something and give to me without editing, and just reading the first page, if I see that it has no meaning, I'll not read it. I'll just keep on my table. So basically what will happen, when I have plenty of time, I will feel interest to read that one. Now you see that as a supervisor, I'm not interested to read in one shot. So you see that your write-up should be in such a way so that when the reviewer or the editor is getting that one, he will feel to read it. So another thing that you need to know before you start writing, or after writing, immediately after writing, you need to know that for which journal you want to submit. Because you see that every journal has their different kind of scope. So when you are going through any journal and you are seeing their scope, you may feel, or you may see that your topic is suitable for that particular journal. No, but it is wrong. No, that is not the way. You'll see the scope. If it matches, then you'll go through their archive and you'll see what are the articles they have published last 5 or 10 years. If you see that some article is very related to your topic, then only you know that this is the right article for you. Anyway, I'm not going much about this kind of things because Dr. Vijay will cover those sort of things, what I feel. So, how actually people, when you are writing, it goes to the editor, it goes to the reviewer, and not only that, after publishing, when it goes to the reader, how they read it. Actually, frankly speaking, no one read it thoroughly. First, they look at the title. If title really match their interest, then they go for abstract. And because abstract is really, really very important thing. If your abstract is that catchy, then only people will go to the next session, which is introduction. And introduction, no one read thoroughly, especially editor and the So what they do, they initially read the first or second paragraph and then they scan. If it attracts them, then they go for methodology. After that, if it really see that some good method, then they are interested to see the result and corresponding discussion. So by this way, actually, people scan the article. Only when your article is very, very good to someone whose interest is the same, only that person will go through the whole article. So you have to keep this in mind when you will go through when you write your article. So I can say if I conclude for this one, that people actually read the abstract, skim the introduction, reading the intro method transition, looking at the figures, skimming the discussion. That is the fastest way usually people go through the article. So as I said at the beginning, that is, there are two kinds. One is first your idea, then you do research, then you write. And second one, you do have idea, you review, then you write the article, then you do research. So from there you can see that there are two kinds. One is research paper, one is the review paper. So research paper, that are few categories. First is long paper. Usually long paper is 5 to 30 pages, and later is 1 to 3 pages maximum. Short communication, which is 3 to 5 or 8 pages. So that is the approximate size, but it depends on the publisher. Some publisher, they have the different norm, but this is the usual norm. And second category of article is review paper. So here I also need to, before I go for this next section, I would like to say something about the research article and the publisher. Actually, presently, one academic or researcher, he is being, how good he is, it's categorized based on H index. If you don't know the H index, you can Google, then you will understand what is H index. Because it's a simple mathematics they follow. That is number of publication and similar number of citation, then H index growth. And another is that how many citation has been done from that academic's paper. So for article, there are a few categories. The first category, most reputed one, is called the ISI publication. And these ISI publications has 4 categories: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. In whole world, no matter how the good university, everyone consider ISI listed journal. And the second category, which is SCOPUS, I'm not telling that all SCOPUS is same, but few SCOPUS is good. But in average, SCOPUS articles or SCOPUS journals are second category. Most of the authentic or the world-class university, they really don't accept every SCOPUS journal, but they accept all ISI listed journal. So therefore, you'll be very careful when you are going to publish SCOPUS journal. And third category, there are a lot. They have different kind of indexing, different kind of citation, but those are really not important for the acceptance for the world-class universities. Now, my this talk will be very much, I'll better say, hands-on type. That is, what you will write, how it will write, and what are the tricks about the contents to be highlighted, to be published. So let's go through the research article first. Remember that I will follow for engineering research article. Okay, engineering and IT. So one research article have this, this section, that is, it should have a title. After title, it should have an author's name and affiliation, then abstract, keywords, introduction, methodology. Some people, they put results in one section and discussion in another section. But for me, I always put result and discussion in one, but it's up to you. Next is the conclusion, then acknowledgement and reference. So your research article should have all these things in your article. So what I do, I go one by one. First is the title. You see that this title is the first thing that one reader will read. So your title should tell your whole article content. So it's a one line or maybe 1.5 line text, but through that one line, you have to put your whole content into that one line. And your title, that article title, should not be very broad. For example, I'll go through one. Expert system for power quality disturbance classifier. You see that when I'm reading this title, I can feel, as a reader, I know that this guy is writing something about power quality disturbance, and he's classifying that one, and most probably he has a automatic system or one intelligent system over there by which this power quality disturbance can be classified. Okay. Second one, design and analysis of UHF micropower CMOS DTMOS rectifier. You see that the title itself telling what exactly you can expect from its contents. But if you read the third one, a novel EMG signal analysis to determine muscle fatigue. Okay, here I can understand that they are using some kind of signal analysis to determine muscle fatigue. But you see, when I'm writing signal analysis, I'm not telling what is that, a novel. A novel is a broad thing. So in your title, always you should avoid this kind of term like novel, like reliable, like scalable, like high performance, robust, low complexity. No, you should not put this kind of word in your title. Because when I'm telling reliable, does it have any numerical value that how much reliable it is? When I'm writing scalable, how scalable it is? High performance, what is its threshold to be recognized as a high performance? So you see that this kind of word is a gimmick word for any research article. So you must avoid this kind of things in your title. So what we understood, that your title should reflect your whole contents of your article. For the question and answer, if you have any, after you better write it down, note it down. So after I finish, then you can raise those questions. So I'll try to give answer. So next one is the author's name and affiliation. You see that initially, I mean, before I start, I told you that now academics, the credit is measured by H index. So when I go through H index, this name really a factor. For example, when I started my life, my name, you see that it's a big name, MD Mamun bin Ibn Riyas. So sometimes I write MBI Riyas, sometimes I write Mamun Riyas, sometimes I write MD Mamun. So later I noticed that my H index for MBI Riyas is 3, another one is 15, another one is 5, because for different name, it goes for different kind of, the measurement. So this is one reason when you start writing, you should have one name, and that name you will continue for your whole life. This is one. Second thing, that your email address and affiliation, you must give a correct one. Because you see that when we write an article, it is for disseminating the knowledge to others. So let's say I'm doing one research, and in another country, in another university, another researcher who wants to do the same kind of research, but he wants to employ some other things. So he may get stuck in my article and he may not understand something. So he needs to contact me. So that is the email or the mailing address by which he will be able to contact me. So in your article, you should give the correct email and affiliation. Obviously, your email address and affiliation may change over the time because you may not be in the same institute. It's understandable. After that, the most important thing is the abstract. So your abstract, which will tell whole story in a brief. So how actually your abstract should be written? Your abstract, you should start with a global problem. global, remember that it's a global problem. That means your first sentence in an abstract or first sentence will start with a problem. I'll just give one kind of example, then you may understand what I want to mean by the global problem. For example, one of my research, which is EMG signal analysis. EMG is muscle signal, electromyography signal. We get signal from our muscle. So this EMG signal analysis is my research that I'm doing for particular topic. Now, if I write the problem related to EMG signal only in our first sentence, it is not a good idea. Now you see that when I am doing EMG signal, by analyzing that signal, what problem I am solving? For that particular research, I know that this EMG signal, if I get, then it can clarify which is called neuropathy. And if I know this neuropathy, then I know the foot ulcer, because diabetic patients usually have the foot ulcer if there is any problem in the foot. If there is a cut or something, it easily, it's prone to foot ulcer. Now you see that diabetic patients can have, prone to foot ulcer, and if he has a foot ulcer, it's very, it deteriorates very fast, and how fast it will deteriorate, that can be measured through the polyneuropathy, and this polyneuropathy classification can be done by EMG signal. Okay. Now you see that my ultimate problem for diabetic patients. So you see that in my abstract, if I start with the diabetic patients, which is a very severe problem worldwide, because almost, that for the elderly people, almost 30 to 40% people has this diabetes. So it's a really like an epidemic, like a pandemic for that particular disease. Now you see that if your first sentence starts with the diabetic things, editor, reviewer, and those who are reader, they will get some kind of interest about this diabetes. So if you start with the diabetic global problem, then from diabetic to the foot ulcer to neuropathy, and neuropathy to EMG signal, which is your pure research. So that should be the style of showing the problem at the beginning of the abstract, but it should be in one or maximum two sentences. After that, you need to show that in which state this EMG signal analysis or the EMG signal analysis in this work, because that is your research. That is your on that topic actually you are going to write an article. So over there you should tell 2 or 3 researchers' work and their problem. Remember that, and their problem. So that will be precisely your research problem. So you start with the global problem, then it's the research problem, and that research problem should be some research works of others and should not highlight any advantage, only the disadvantage. After that, you will tell that what kind of solution you want to give to overcome those research problems. So you will tell your methods. After that, you will give a conclusion that how this can help to this neuropathy, to foot ulcer, to diabetes. So that should be the style of abstract. So what I usually, there were few ways to do this one, but the first way, that is, you state the problem, then why it is interesting problem, okay, then what solution you can achieve, and what follows from your solution. So this whole abstract for a letter cannot exceed 50 words, though I'm telling that it depends on the publication, certain publication, but usually for the letter, the abstract cannot exceed 50 words. For short communication, usually 50 to 100 words, and for long paper, it's 150 to 50 words. But though I'm telling that 4 sentences can have your abstract, but there is another way to do this one. How? your whole introduction, you will squeeze to 1 to 2 lines. Then your methodology, 2 to 3 lines. Then result discussion, 1 to 2 lines, and conclusion, half to 1 lines. When you squeeze like this way, if you append this, 1 to 2 lines, 2 to 3 lines, or half to 1 lines, automatically it will be abstract. Let's see whether it really goes through the way I said or not. You see that when I go through the introduction, you'll see that we need to write the introduction in such a way which will follow from global problem to the research problem. Then your methodology, what are the methods and why are you going to use those methods, right? And in the result and discussion, what results you got out of it. Finally, the conclusion. That means what I say, that from global problem to local problem, then what are the methods you are employing and why are you employing those methods? And out of that methodology, what kind of results you are getting? Why are you getting that results? Which is discussion, and finally it's the conclusion. Sorry. So remember that abstract is the most important part of any journal article, and this is the way of writing abstract. I'll go through a few simple examples. If you read this abstract, for achieving a photovoltaic penetration above 1/3 of the world demand for electricity in the first half of the century, the importance of a fast manufacturing learning curve that is linked to the capacity of developing cells of increasing efficiency is stressed. Now you see, they started with global, then coming to the local, okay? That is learning curve that is linked to the capacity of developing cells of increasing efficiency is stressed. Progress in multi-junction cells is described as well as 3 novel concepts promising very high efficiency, which is the the work that they are going to do. It is explained why these concepts will probably used in concentrator system. This is the the conclusion thing. Now you see that it starts with the global problem, then local problem, then a little bit about the what research that this article is trying to do, and finally the conclusion. Let's go through another example. Design and analysis of ultra high frequency micro power rectifier based on a diode connected dynamic threshold MOSFET is discussed. Remember that. Directly it is telling discussed. An analytical design model for DT-MOS rectifier is derived based on curve fitted diode equation parameters. Then they are showing some results. For example, measured results verified the design model with average accuracy of 10.85%. Now you see that in abstract, they straightway start writing what they are doing and what result they got. But what I told you, that we have to start with our global problem, then local problem, then but here they're not showing this one. So obviously this cannot be an abstract for a long paper. Remember that whatever the abstract I'm showing here, all are published in either Q1, Q2 journal. So here I can tell you that this abstract cannot be an abstract for a long paper. And let us show that. Another one here, I don't know whether these slides will be shared. I think later you can read thoroughly about this one. And this abstract is also showing precisely that, what I told, it's following the global problem, local problem, and so on. So you see, the abstract, previously I told you that it cannot be this one, cannot be a long paper abstract. Actually, it's an abstract for a letter or short paper. The rule is telling for letter and short paper, you cannot show any kind of problem of global problem or the research problem in the abstract. In the abstract, you just need to tell what you did, what result you got. Okay? That's it. So, what we understood, that for the long paper, you have to go through the different and the global problem, local problem, methodology, and result discussion and conclusion. But for the letter or short paper, whatever you did, whatever result you got, only you are entitled to write that. Okay? That's why this abstract is for a letter. This is another abstract for another letter where they are just telling what they did. Okay, you can go through because my time allocation is only 1 hour. I really cannot go that detail. Okay, so this is about our abstract. Our next one is the keyword. This keyword actually we do for search purpose. Let's say, for example, my work is about EMG signal analysis. So if I put EMG, then signal analysis, and this sort of keyword, then what will happen when you search with these keywords? Most likely my paper will come from. Okay, that's why when you write the article, you will find that what are the keywords which represents your article. So you should put these keywords under the keywords section of the article. Next is the introduction. After abstract, this introduction is another major section for eyesight study, especially Q1, Q2, even the Q3, Q4 journals. Okay, so what I told about abstract, I will go through the same thing for introduction. What we do in the introduction, the first paragraph should be a global problem, but a little detailed. I'll go back to my example of that EMG signal analysis that we need, because through EMG signal analysis, we can classify polyneuropathy for diabetic patient. And if we can classify the polyneuropathy of diabetic patients, then we know that how fast the foot ulcer is growing, how severe it is. And if we know foot ulcer, that means we can help the diabetic patients. Okay. So in our introduction, the first paragraph should be about diabetes. You have to write that how severe diabetic in this world now. And you have to give a little data about the diabetic patients in your first paragraph of the introduction. In the same paragraph, you will tell that diabetic patients suffer from foot ulcer if there is any cut, and it aggravates very quickly. Now, to know the status of this foot ulcer, we can easily understand and we can monitor this foot ulcer aggravation through polyneuropathy classification. And this polyneuropathy classification can be understandable through the electromyography signal analysis. Now you see that my first paragraph is gradually telling from global problem and gradually go down to the research that I am doing, and I am writing the article on that. So first paragraph will be like this. Then you see that from diabetic foot ulcer neuropathy to EMG signal, already first paragraph I told. My second paragraph will tell the exact research problem on EMG signal that I am trying to overcome through my research. So here in the second paragraph, I'll precisely tell about several research problems about the EMG signal analysis. Let's say here, usually for a long paper, we'll tell at least 2, 3, 4, 5, but at least 2 to 3 research problem from different researchers, where I will tell that Mamoon et al. has developed an algorithm to analyze the EMG signal by using this artificial intelligence or whatever it is. However, this article suffers from this problem because its efficiency is this much of percentage, let's say 80%, which is not enough. Go through another article and show that what kind of methodology they are using and what the disadvantage it has. Okay, let's consider that in the second paragraph we are showing two particular research and researcher, and we are showing their disadvantage. remember that each article, when you go through, obviously they will tell that they have so many advantages. Okay, but never ever put those advantages in your article, because if you put the advantage in your article, that means you're cutting your leg. So you are not entitled to say any good thing of them. Whatever the bad thing they have and the bad thing they have and which you want to overcome, that one only will mention. So your second paragraph is the precise research paragraph. Over there, you're showing that one guy has a problem with the efficiency, another guy maybe problem with the the error or something. So you will tell to overcome that efficiency and the error, okay, or this error, you are employing some method. Let's say, for example, you want to employ neural network method. So to introduce this neural network method, you have to justify why are you using this neural network method. So let's consider like this way. You have to write over there that neural network, which is very good to analyze the nonlinear signal. And as electromyography signal has the nonlinear characteristics, so neural network will be a good choice to solve this problem. You see? So first you are giving global problem, then particular research problem where you will show few problem, and that problem you want to overcome. So you introduce some method and you are giving rationale why you want to use that method. Okay? So this will be your third paragraph or within second paragraph. So your fourth paragraph will be that what you expect after completion of this research. So you will tell that by solving these problems, it will be easy to classify the polyneuropathy, which will eventually helpful monitoring food ulcer for diabetic patients. So this is the style of writing introduction. Most of the researchers, I have so many researchers that I supervise. I have given masters and PhD more than 50 or 60. I really can't remember how many. And mostly I noticed that students, even the early fresh researchers, they suffer from this problem. They really don't understand what to write over there in introduction, because they know their problem. Okay, we are facing problem, to analyze the EMG signal because the efficiency is not that much. But that cannot be the problem for a journal writing to get acceptance. So I can conclude for the introduction part. That is, we can conclude that introduction part that first we'll start writing a global problem. From that global problem, we will categorically lower down to the research problem. That should be our first paragraph. Our second paragraph will be precisely my research problem by others, which we want to overcome. Then the third paragraph will be that whatever the methodology that we want to employ to overcome that problem, and what is the rationale of employing that method. And our fourth paragraph would be the conclusion, that what we want to get out of this research. Here I actually put few examples, but again, due to the time limitation, obviously I'm not going through these things. Here one thing to mention, that is sometimes we are confused that whether we use the author, we or our. So here it's up to you. You can use the author, you can use we and us. Okay, so for the letter, what will be the introduction? For the introduction, you, as I said, that you are not you are not allowed to give any problem. So here you will just give that what are the things you want, that you are employing and why you are employing those things. That's it. And there will be no paragraph of describing the similar words with their disadvantages. Okay. Another thing that we do, I saw that because in our PhD or masters by research, when they write the thesis in introduction, they write that, okay, chapter 1 is telling this, chapter 2 is telling this, chapter 3 is telling this. But in a article, never put these things. Never put any organizational structure that section 1 is telling this, section 2 is telling this, and section 3 is telling this. Okay, so now we know that what should be in introduction. Okay, another thing which must need to know, that I told you that there are 4 paragraphs, right? First paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph. Not only this introduction, for the whole article, be sure that your one paragraph to another paragraph should have a link. I'm just giving a very funny kind example. Your first paragraph is telling about a village, and your second paragraph is describing a cow. Obviously, it's very weird kind of thing that, okay, I'm telling about village, suddenly we are telling about a cow. So your first paragraph, the last sentence should have some sentence which will relate the second paragraph, which is cow. So the funny thing is that when you are describing your village, your last sentence tells that in your village, this village is famous for cow breeding or something. So that when the second paragraph will come, it will have some link from the first paragraph. So please do it for your overall, the article, where each paragraph should have a link to the next paragraph. After that is the methodology. I will not really go that detail about methodology, because methodology is purely yours. So whatever you are doing in your method, just tell it step by step. Every single description of your methods. But what you don't need to do, let's say you are taking artificial neural network. It's a very well-known fuzzy logic. It's very well-known. So you really don't need to describe artificial neural network or fuzzy logic. So those methods are very well-known. You simply need to mention what kind of artificial neural network you are adopting. Or in your fuzzy logics, how many if-then rules you have. Only this sort of things. But don't explain what is neural network, what is fuzzy logic. No, you don't need. Let's say you are adopting some methods which was being published by another researcher. Don't explain or don't describe in detail. Just tell that from which researcher you are adopting that one, refer that one, and maybe in very brief, you can describe that one through circuit diagram or whatever it is. Okay? And when you are describing your methods, you must need to make it very, the systematic way. The good thing to put over there is the diagram. Use the diagram. Use the flowchart. And be sure that whatever the picture you are putting over there, it has a high resolution so that it's understandable and readable. In methods, don't make any assumption. If you make any assumption, you must need to refer some researcher. Usually don't refer any book. You can use book. You can refer book, but usually it's better if you refer some others researcher from a renowned publishers. Okay, so over there you can do assumption, but obviously it should be referred. When you will put any equation, don't try to derive the equation. You just need to put the last equation that is coming from derivation. Let's say your article, the main thing that the derivation, how you come up with this new equation. If it is the content of your article, then you have to tell from where you started and every single step of that equation, derivation you need to put. But if you take someone's equation, you just simply need to put that equation. No derivation, nothing. And when you put equation, you must tell the notation. You must define what are the notation in that equation. And equation must be numbered, and it need to be cited in the text. Okay. Not only that, when you are putting any figure or any table, be sure that table number and figure number is cited in the article, because you are not entitled to put any figure or table or equation in the article if you do not cite in the text. So this is the methods in a nutshell. But for later, it will follow almost same structure like methodology for long paper, but in brief. You have to, because you see that the whole letter is only 1.5 paper and the page. So 1.5 page, you have to accommodate some the letter, they also give the number of limitation of number of figure, number of table, most likely 2 figure, 1 table, something like that. So you have to design, you have to write within that number of pages. Okay, after the methodology, next is the result and discussion. For the results and discussion, you have to follow your methods. Whatever methods you are step by step you're following, your results will come based on those methods sequentially. Let's say you put number 1 method, from that result you put that output to the second method, from second method to third method, blah blah blah. So your result and discussion will follow the same structure. And mostly what we do in result, we write, let's say we are showing a graph. That is, we got some output and we are putting in a graph. Okay, and we are writing in the text that okay, in our from the graph we can see that the current is increasing over the time. Okay, yes, we can see that one. So obviously you are writing in text, it's understandable. But what we mean, we mostly think that is called discussion. No, result description, that is called result description, not discussion. Discussion is that why my graph is going upward exponentially, why my the current is increasing over the time. That is called discussion. So whatever the result graph or whatever the result you are describing over there or showing through graph or a table, you have to tell why you are getting such, and that is called discussion. And again, most of the fresher, they misunderstand this one. They think that describing this figure, describing these things means it's discussion. No, it's not. Discussion means why these results you are getting. Okay? And remember that if you put a graph, you don't need to put it into a table. So just in one means you need to present your results. Okay, now another thing, that is, you see that in your introduction, in the second or third paragraph, you showed few researchers' work where you have shown their disadvantages. In your result and discussion section, it is mandatory to show advantage of your work over those disadvantages of other work. So most likely, it is more suitable if you put a table and show on your, the y-axis, show the researcher that you showed the disadvantage. And on the x-axis, put the different parameters for which you are showing their disadvantage. Some may advantage compared to yours, but it doesn't matter, because out of 4 or 5 parameters, maybe they are good in 3, but 2 crucial things or 2 results of 2 crucial parameter, your one is better. Okay, so through table, you will show that you have overcome those disadvantages that you have shown in the introduction, and it is mandatory. So whatever the claim you made in your article at the beginning, you have to solve those claims through the research of your article in this results and discussion section. And in your result and discussion section, you cannot comment to others and also on your result without having a solid proof. For example, you cannot say that that guy is bad or that parameter is a bad result without giving any reference. You cannot claim that it's bad. You can claim only bad through the table by showing your result to his results. Then you can say that he is bad and you are good. So in result and discussion, you are not entitled to say good or bad to others without having a citation or through your result to prove it. Neither use. If you claim anything from out of your results, you have to show through the results that you are good, or through the results you need to prove that you are better than others. Okay, and another thing that we mostly made a mistake, we do comparison with others. Let's say that guy has used 30 patients EMG signal and you are using your 30 patient signals. So you cannot make a comparison with his methods and your methods. You can do how? Apple to apple. That is, you will employ, you will repeat his method, you recreate, then through this 30 patients data, you will see what results his method is getting. Then you will employ this 30, the patients data on your method, and then you'll compare apple to apple. Okay, so remember that you cannot compare with others if data is different set of data for each of researchers. Always data should be the same. Method can be defined for yours and theirs. Then only you'll be able to make a comparison. Okay, so that's all about results and discussion. After results and discussion, we'll here is the normal things. That is, we know that our figure caption should be placed underneath of figure, and table caption should come top of table. So this kind of things. In the letter, what's the difference between long paper and letter? That is, in long paper, I told you that you have to do the comparison, but in letter, no. You just need to tell what result you got. That's it. After result and discussion is the conclusion. I have seen many papers from my students and other researchers. They make the conclusion, they actually repeat the abstract here. No. I have seen some people made a big conclusion. But remember, the conclusion will be very little. Even that if it is 2-3 lines, it's okay. In the conclusion, you just need to say something which will make an end of your article. Just tell that, okay, we have employed this method and we got this result, which can be useful for this application. That's it. Okay. Remember that your abstract is only one paragraph. Same goes to conclusion. I have seen that many people write different parameters, 2-3 paragraphs in conclusion. So don't bother about the conclusion. Your conclusion should be one paragraph and very simple to make an end of your article. So here, okay, another good thing. We always prefer to write something in conclusion about future work. Actually, that is the norm, that in your conclusion, you'll write about your future research. I mean, how this research can be further done for future. But my suggestion, don't go for it. Because when you will give a suggestion about future research, if it is very near to your research, which can easily be done, okay, most likely as a reviewer, I may tell you to complete it. Okay, so I better prefer not to include the future research from the conclusion. Okay, I'll not go through this. After that, acknowledgement. Here in the acknowledgement, please don't acknowledge your father, mother, friend, and others. Acknowledgement basically only the research grant and your institute or particular lab, or who is helping you to complete your this research. That is the acknowledgement. So acknowledgement should not be for the personal acknowledgement. And lastly is the reference. There are two kinds of reference. One is number, one is based on alphabet. But no matter it is based on alphabet or based on numbering system, it should follow this format that I'm going to tell. Every the citation or reference, the first thing come name. Okay? I'm not telling that sequence will be like this, but this information must be in every reference. First is name, it's mandatory. Some people write that, okay, Mamun Etel. No, it cannot be. It should be Mamun, Masood, Makid, whatever let's say if there's 20 names, all 20 names should appear here. Then you have to put the title, which is also mandatory. Then you have to put the publisher name, let's say IEEE journal on this. No, you cannot say that IEEE journal. You have to, because IEEE has so many journals. So you have to precisely write which journal it is. Then you have to give the volume number. Mostly every journal has the volume number, so it's mandatory. Issue number also, most of the journal has the issue number, but some journal may not have, then you don't need. Page number is mandatory. For the journal, year is mandatory. So date means the which year. But for conference, place and the date is mandatory. So for conference, let's say if it is a Kuala Lumpur, you have to write Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And date, let's say, for example, 22nd to 23rd June 2020. So you have to put all this information. Okay? So, because if you don't put this one, remember that during proofreading, they will send it to you to have those information. Okay. Now, you are not entitled to put reference in your reference section if you don't cite inside the text. You are only allowed to put the reference if you cite it in the text. So it is mandatory. Let's say you put 20 reference, you cited 20 reference in your text, then all those 20 should come to the reference. Okay? And remember about the reference, that is, I prefer that in a good article, your 80%, 7 to 80% should be cited or should be taken from referred journal, preferably ISI journal. Few from SCOPUS journal, maybe. Because many SCOPUS journal, they are, as the article is not that authentic, that's why what happened that when you cite those articles research, it's not have that value to refer. So my suggestion, at least 50 to 60% citation should be from ISI listed journal, maybe few from SCOPUS journal if you don't have any choice. Take very less from the conference. Don't put conference citation much. Avoid any book citation. Avoid any web citation or any white paper. So basically, for a good article, the citation would be ISI listed journal, few SCOPUS journal, and very few conference. Not a web page, not a white paper. And okay, so that's about all about the references. After that, we'll go for the quiz journal. Actually, I told you this one, that is which journal that you will select based on your article. Now, after we submit, how it goes? When it goes to the editor first see that whether this article, the content of the article, of the scope of article really suit to his journal or not. Okay, so this is the first thing he sees. Then he scan and see that whether this journal has some impact on the society or not, which comes from that first paragraph and second paragraph of your introduction, or the first sentence of your abstract. Then he scan also the the methodology section. If you see that it's a normal method that you are using, nothing new, obviously it will not go through. Okay, so once editor find it suitable, then he sent to 2 to 5 external reviewers. And once it goes to the external reviewers, they give their comment. And when majority give the positive, then only it goes for the correction, review correction, and so on. So once your one is the major review or the minor review, it comes to you, you have to reply back every single question that came by the reviewer. So when it will come to you, there are a few ways. Let's say the title is quite general and could be improved by including the most significant details that is unique to the author's proposal. You can easily write the reply that, okay, the title has been improved. You see that in a short, you can write that one. Don't do that. For the reviewer's comment, you have to write in detail what you have done and how it has been done. Okay, because reviewers prefer, you just think that when you are writing, okay, the title has been revised, that means the reviewer need to go through the article to see that what you have done. But if you read it, write it here, it will be easy for the reviewer to understand the things. So what in a nutshell, that when any question is coming, even that if you're in your article, if it takes 2 pages that you have revised, which two pages, it doesn't matter. You just include those 2 pages here. So it may happen. Hello.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So it may happen that this reviewer's reply is, let's say your article is 8 pages and your reviewer's reply is 10 pages. It doesn't matter. Okay. So as detailed as possible, give the reply to the reviewer. I can see that that's all. So now I will.
Thank you, sir. A lot of attendees have been asking for your presentation, sir. With your permission, can we share your presentation?
Please. Go ahead.
Okay, so all the attendees there who have been requesting for your presentations, kindly write an email at webinar@iferp.in. We will email you the presentations. Similarly, I have been receiving queries regarding the certificates. You will also receive an email with all the procedure, how to download the certificate at the end of the webinar. Kindly be patient and be with us till the end of the webinar. So thank you, Dr. Maman sir. Before we begin with Dr. Ajay sir's presentation, I would also like to inform all the attendees regarding the United Innovators research development service that have been introduced to you. I request all the budding researchers to visit the United Innovators website details that we have shared here. It is a research and development service provider providing end-to-end service for all the PhD students and scholars who are looking for PhD thesis writing, research article writing, and publishing services. So kindly go and look into it, and you have option to apply for it immediately. So without wasting any time, you can go and click on it and apply for your benefits. Okay, sir, we'll move with Dr. Ajay sir's presentation.
Okay. Am I supposed to start?
Yes, sir, you can start, sir. I'll just off the video so that you can occupy the complete screen, sir.
Sure.
You can please begin, sir. Yes, we will
Okay.
be online.
Ajay happens to be my younger brother. I'm Vijay. So let we proceed with the
Yeah,
title of
sorry,
my
sir.
webinar.
Yes,
That's
yes,
okay.
Dr.
That's
Vijay,
okay.
sir.
These are analogous names, so people used to commit mistakes. No problems.
Yes, yes. As I'm familiar with both of you, I get little confused.
It's okay. So, as Mamun sir has already, given you the in detailed account about how to draft a research article. So I'll be trying to throw some light on the points which are yet to be, covered or very important still to explore and navigate. Here again, my title of a presentation or webinar happens to be drafting research paper or article and publishing it into the reputed journals. Look, this is the need of the hour. When you talk about publishing research article merely in any of the research paper or any of the conference or journal, there's a bulk huge number from countries like India. But when it comes to publishing it into the reputed journals or Scopus indexed or some very reputed journals, then the number is very reduced. So we need to think about these aspects and have to work and dedicated to that objective only. This session is conducted. Now, what are my session targets? Let's try to understand this. I'll be going to show some of the points which are helpful for drafting the research paper, as already a session has been conducted for this particular title. So I'm going to throw some light on this, which is for drafting a research paper. Then publishing in a conference. Now this is another very important thing because there are bulk of conferences coming on, maybe online conferences or offline conferences. So as a researcher, in which conference you should publish your paper? So we need to think about it. So I'm going to give you the glimpse of that. Then publishing the paper in peer reviewed journal. Now this is so very important. So we need to understand what is the peer reviewing process. Sir has given you some of the glimpse of it, some of the introduction, but I'm going to tell you the entire life cycle, that if a paper will be submitted to a peer reviewed journal, then how actually reviewing process will be done with you, how a reviewer is going to give you the feedback, how you need to come up with the replies, etc., and finally how the paper will be published. And then very important thing, fourth point, which I'm going to see is process of rapidly publishing the paper. This is so very important. Madam, is this cursor is visible to everyone?
Which one, sir? You can play on it next.
Okay. No. I'm just
Yeah.
pointing the point by using a pointer. So is it visible to everyone? No. Okay, fine.
No, sir.
So the fourth point which I quoted over here
Okay.
is process of rapidly publishing the paper in reputed or free journals. Now there is a common complaint of students that, sir, if we are going to publish the paper in reputed journals, which are specially going to publish it freely, they'll take 2 years time, 1.5 years time to publish. So our progress of all the promotions get stopped or something as that gets stopped. So I will be going to tell you some of the tricks by virtue of which you can rapidly publish your paper in reputed journal freely. And then finally I will wind up the topic with some remarks. So let me go and start the session. I hope everybody is over here with me. So if you're writing the paper, you can write the paper by two ways. The first way could be a review paper, and next way could be a research paper. Now let us try to understand the difference between the two. That what are the review papers which researchers can draft, and how research papers can be different. Look, when you are a researcher, and you are trying to identify your research problem, or you identify the research problem and you're trying to navigate through all the literature which is available, you're trying to explore all the literature which is available relevant to that topic, or you are very beginner researcher and you are trying to identify your research topic in a specific domain, for example artificial intelligence or machine learning or any of other domain which is you can choose arbitrarily. So if you are a beginner into the researcher, you will try to write review papers where you're trying to identify a problem. Now, when you're writing review papers, what actually you are doing is that you are quoting the facts and findings of already, presented papers by various scientists and researchers. So the main to say is that already the observations or the investigations which have been made by various scientists or researchers, you're going to quote inside that paper. So that paper becomes your review paper. And here in research paper, your own model, your own research contribution, your unique contribution should be quoted, as if like you're proposing some idea, you're proposing some methodology, you're proposing some algorithm, you're proposing some mathematical model which will solve the problem. So there is a clear difference between the review paper and the research paper, as if like review paper may be a comparative analysis which is already done by various scientists earlier, but in research paper it's your contribution which should be clearly explored, which should be clearly narrated. So this is the daylight difference between the two writing papers. These are the broad category of writing the papers. There are other categories as well, but for the beginner of a drafting a research paper, I think you should be aware about these two major categories. There used to be a question, sir, is it possible that my review paper gets shortlisted and selected in the reputed journal? Yes. If your drafting skills are good, if your comparative analysis which you have quoted inside the paper is good, up to the mark, having sufficient evidence and quantitative statistical analysis is quoted over there, then your review paper even gets sanctioned or selected in good publishing houses or in good conferences. And research paper obviously going to have your unique contribution which is not repetitive in nature. So your research paper also gets selected in good conferences or good publishing houses if it is having unique quality into it. So how to bring that unique quality we are going to see today. And in at any of the slides, if you're having any issues or problems or difficulties, or you want to ask anything to me, just please quote your question in the chat box, or we will unmute you at the end of the session so that you will ask me the queries. So let us move forward and try to see how to draft a paper. Now, what is the melody of drafting the paper? Sir has already gone through various things from this slide. Sir has discussed in detail about abstract, introduction, some result analysis he already have discussed. But let me give a simple, quick go away with this particular slide. And I will try to explain you that when you are trying to draft a research paper, then how it should be look like, and what are the needful drafting skills which are required, which will let your paper very handsome. Because as sir rightly quoted earlier, he said that doing research is something and presenting that research is something. You're getting it? It is so very analogous situation, as if like you're having CCTV footage in a bank, right? And that CCTV footage captures the robbery over there. But merely by capturing the robbery, you cannot afford to declare somebody as criminal. You need to prove that in the court of the law by appropriate presentation skills in the front of judge who's going to judge that particular case. So similarly, drafting a research paper is a skill altogether. Now let me go through content wise what actually the contents which is to be quoted inside a research paper, and in accordance to that your research paper look smart and get shortlisted and selected in any of the good publishing houses or in conferences. So the first and foremost thing which attracts the attention of the readers to your research paper is abstract. Now sir has given some of the tips and tricks, obviously following those tips and tricks, but then over here in abstract, you need to globally recognize the need of the topic or the research article which you are writing. Now from global need, as if like let us consider I'm working in information security. Let us consider, for example, So I'll be talking about information security requirements for cloud computing, because cloud computing is a huge domain. Now, so that is how I'm globalizing my title, globalizing my research article. So in abstract, you should first of all give you the global idea for the need of this topic, and then slowly but surely you will specify it. You can squeeze it, and define it in clear cut words, so that you will defend it properly, and whatever the meaning in which you want to convey, the topic and the title should be clearly quoted over there in the abstract. uh, there are research papers which used to be written in very very technically jargon keywords. I don't think so there is actual need of it, but if you're having good drafting skills you can do it. But even if you are using simple English sentences, but giving the clear cut meaning of your research article in abstract, which is so very demanded and needed. Now believe me, if your abstract is attractive, then reviewers or the readers of the paper used to cite you again and again. Because if your abstract is not demanding, or unfortunately if it has become boring, then even reviewer gives you ample of review comments, as well as the citation is a challenge for your paper. So abstract is so very important, which you need to think about and then quote. Abstract is followed by keywords. Now keywords are so very crucial words. These are reserved words or the technical words which are very specific to your research article. So you need to mention them all, because when the people are reading abstract, it may happens that whatever the keywords you have used, people don't know that. So you need to communicate them. Like, these are some reserved words which are already known about this title, or author should know about it. Then only you will make the readers or the citation makers or the reviewers accustomed with your keywords. So mentioning keywords is so very important. Then second happens to be introduction, which is extremely important thing in your paper. Practically speaking, this is chapter number 1 in your paper or your article. Now what is introduction, and what is the common myth about introduction? Look, when beginner in the research area want to write a research article, they usually make a mistake in introduction, that they start introducing the technology which they are going to use in the research, or they start mentioning the tools and techniques which they have used during the research. Please don't do that. Introduction is specifically there to introduce your research article, to introduce your research topic, to introduce your research title. So you need to make sure about that. And the obvious question will be that when I'm introducing my title, what should I write into it? The first and foremost content which should mention inside the introduction is your motivation, that why at all you are converging towards this title. That is important. You need to navigate, or you need to tell the story that who in the world need this title to be executed, to be implemented, to be deployed, to be work. If there is demand, if there is need, if there is motivation associated to that title, then only that title is going to get consumed and your research is worth. So you need to clearly mention what is the motivation or need associated to your topic. Then you need to mention about aims and objectives. Now what to quote in aims and objectives, I want everybody to concentrate hard over here, so that they will understand that what is the importance of writing aim and objectives. Look, whenever you're doing any PG program in technology, or even PhDs in technology or engineering, mentioning aim and objective is extremely crucial, because your entirety of the tenure of research which you are going to dedicate will be depending upon satisfying these objectives or these aims. Now how to draft these aims and how to draft these objectives? Look, aims and objectives are the probable outcomes of your research. Try to understand it. Say, like, if I'm developing a pen, if I'm developing an ink pen, then what is my objective? My objective that this pen should write smoothly, with ease of use, and the quality of the writing, etc., etc. I'm giving a simple example only. Or you're doing a research on developing a mobile phone. So what is your objective? It should enable call, outgoing calls, incoming calls easily. So these are the objectives. So now what I mean out of these objectives and aim, look, these aims and objectives are the probable outcomes of the research. You need to quote it like that. Usually researchers do fault by mentioning the procedure to complete the research article or to complete the research topic, Please do not mention the methodology or the way in which you're going to work into the research. Here you need to mention objective number A, that this is what I'm expected to achieve from this research. Objective number B, this can be achieved out of research. Objective number C, this can be achieved out of research. This is how you need to mention your aims and objectives. After that, literature survey and review. Now, what is the difference between the two keywords? Let's understand that. Literature survey is exploration of the facts and findings, which is already given by some researchers. And review are your review comments, your contribution about the text or the literature which you have already explored. Now, where to do this? You need to do this in existing systems. Please, if you are doing some academic research, always try to insist upon the literature survey or review which is done by journals, some of the reputed journals. Say like the journals which is of caliber of IEEE transaction, Scopus index journals are there, Web of Science are there, or some good reputed publishing houses. Please review the literature of these good publishing houses only, so that your skeleton of the research article or research paper becomes strong. So this is what I suggest you people. And while you are writing the literature, it should sound logical and chronological. Now, what is logical? That means whatever the point you want to prove out of the research drafting, that should be consistent in nature. You should not lose it somewhere. Secondary thing is that it should be chronological, means it will traverse from historical background to the latest trends, right? Say like you're working on cryptography, which is one of the technology of information security. So you need to tell the earlier birth of the cryptography in the historical age, and then have to come gradually towards the latest arena of the cryptography. So in this way, you need to draft literature. Also, you need to take care while mentioning various architectures which are existing, because upon those architectures only another architecture of yours is going to come. So you need to mention them properly. But please try to go and refer good publishing houses articles, as I given some of the names to you already. Now the fourth chapter which happens to be in the discussion is proposed system. This is so very crucial. This is the thing which you have to draft at your own. This actually is your backbone of the entire research report which you need to take care of. Now what actually will be done over here in proposed system, you need to mention your basic idea. And basic idea, you need to mention that how your research could be accomplished, what is the probable solution. Then you have to mention, is there any possible algorithm which can be drafted, is there any mathematical model which can be framed, and by virtue of that your research can be proven. So these all points should be quoted inside proposed work or proposed system. Believe me guys, this is so very important, and here actually your writing skills are tested. That if you erect up with some problem of research, then how actually you have solved it, you have to write it over here in proposed work. Then on the fifth title happens to be result analysis and findings. Now this is so very important. Look, in result analysis you need to mention something, as if like you got some outcomes out of your research. Now whether those outcomes are really compatible to your objectives, whatever you have mentioned earlier, you need to test it. Now how you're going to test it? You're going to test it by using some of the tools and techniques. Now these tools and techniques you need to operate on your work as well as onto the existing systems work. This has to be there. It should not happen that for your work you're using some tool and for existing system you're using some tool. This should not happen. So ideally unique tool should be chosen, and by virtue of that tool you can make the comparative analysis and say, okay, my work is better than the existing work, or my work is not better than the existing work. So this should be taken in consideration. Secondary thing is that the context of the data, as if like the context of the data of already existing work and your work should be analogous. It should not happen that the context of the data which you are referring is different and the already existing work is different. So you need to make the similarities into it. And I suggest all the researchers to use multiple tools on multiple parameters. You can test your results and come up with the findings. If you do it, believe me, any good research publishing house will accept your paper. And finally, you will need to write the conclusion. Sir has given the good comment on conclusion, how to write it. It's a summarized view of your research article. and you may write future scope or you may skip it. So if you're guiding the other researchers that what would be done in this field, so you can quote it, or if you want to skip it, you can skip it. And then you have to mention the reference list according to the usually all the publishing houses ask the reference list in IEEE format. So it is easily available on Google. You just go to Google and ask it that how to cite a paper in IEEE format. It will give you entire format, right? So this is how a research article or research paper can be drafted. Look, the most important thing while drafting the research paper is that the fourth point, proposed system. What is your research contribution? Because upon that only your paper either gets selected or it get rejected. Now the next point. Yeah, this is very important thing which is left, and we need to check this plagiarism. You might have heard about it. Plagiarism simply, in its simple mean, it's copying of the things. It says that research ethics must be preserved by drafting original and pure contents of the respective authors. Look, what you need to do is that as a researcher, you need to come up with the pure content of yours own, original content of your own. You can refer to somebody's work, but then it is in some limited context. Now, if you can see broadly, plagiarism can be of two types. The first is direct plagiarism, and second is self plagiarism. Now, there are two ways to understand this. So let us understand what is direct plagiarism. Look, direct plagiarism is a sort of plagiarism which you are committing in the paper by directly copying and pasting in your paper some author's work. Look, even if you cited him, but if you are directly copy pasting his work, then it will be a direct plagiarism's case. Because whenever you're going to use a tool to detect the plagiarism inside your paper, you will be caught up in direct plagiarism. Because whatever the context which have been already written by a scientist or an author, if it is directly cut paste in your paper, it is a case of direct plagiarism. Now, next case which will be there, it is self plagiarism. Now, what is self plagiarism? Understand this. Now, some of the article which you have written, some of the paper which you have written at your own, you published it, you copyrighted it, and now what you're doing is that you are taking some of the context or some of the matter of that particular paper as it is, your written paper. So you are taking it as it is in another paper which you want to publish. So that is the case of self plagiarism. Now, here you might ask a question that, sir, if I have already published the topic, so why can't I have my own text? Look, you can have, but you cannot afford to directly copy paste. Otherwise, it becomes the case of self plagiarism. And any of the good testing tool of plagiarism doesn't permit you to do that. So please get away from these, because this doesn't permitted by, these are not permitted by the research ethics. Now, the important thing which I want to tell over here is that where to publish a good paper. Now, if you think so that you have committed, you have given good efforts to your, research paper drafting, or you have taken efforts for writing your research paper. Now, the question arises that where to write or where to publish that particular paper. So, how to or where to publish the paper if it is a conference? Now, if it is a conference and if you want to publish the paper in the conference, then what are the points which you need to take in considerations? That is important. Look, because in world there are conferences like anything, like cats and dogs, those are getting executed every now and then. So you need to decide that which is the appropriate conference whereby paper should be published. The first and foremost thing which you need to check is whether that conference theme or conference tracks are matching and mapping to your research article. This is important. If a conference track is of artificial intelligence, if its theme is of artificial intelligence, and you are doing the research in artificial intelligence, please go and publish the paper here. I'll suggest you with some of the following remedials taking in considerations. Then only you can go and publish the paper in this conference. But if the conference is on, say, like e-vehicle or environmental saving, or it is something on saving the world from the pollution, and you're working on artificial intelligence, please, I recommend you don't go and publish your paper in such conferences unless some of the tracks specifically supports your title. People may accept your paper once you put the paper, but please try to be intelligent. If the themes and the tracks are parallel to your research, then only go and publish your paper in those conferences. The second and important thing is that you need to also observe that who is organizing the conference, who are the organizers, and with whom's association the conference is getting organized. Is it a IIT which is organizing this? Is it an NIT, or is it an internationally reputed institute or university, or an autonomous body which is organizing that? Is it a very very renowned institute in the world which is organizing that? So you need to observe all these fact findings, and upon these fact findings only you have to go and participate and put your paper in that particular conference. You need to already also check that whether that conference proceeding will be given any ISSN or ISBN number or not. This is important. Look, whatever the abstract you are going to submit or even full length paper you are going to submit, those are going to be published in the proceedings of the conference. So you need to take the considerations in mind that whether that particular proceeding will be given any ISSN or ISBN number or not. ISSN is internationally standard serial number, and ISBN stands for internationally standard book number. So if these specific numbers, the good calibered numbers, are given to the proceedings of that particular conference, then yes, you can go and publish your papers in those conferences. Then you need to realize that a list of the journals where presented papers can be published. It is but obvious that whenever conference is getting conducted somewhere, then they may get associated with some journals. So you need to check that whether those are reputed journals, peer reviewed journals. Are those journals are having the good repute in your research area? As if, like, let us consider the journal of machine learning, which is a very important journal. So if I'm working in machine learning or deep learning, or even for that sake artificial intelligence, I'll be a research aspirant to publish the paper over there. So you need to check these fact findings. After that, indexing of such journals. If there are some n number of journals which are associated to some conference, are they indexed in UGC care list? Are they indexed in SCOPUS? Are they indexed in IGI? Are they indexed in Web of Science? You need to check all these. So if they are indexed into that, yes, you can go and participate in those conferences. It is recommended. But if it is not, then you need to think twice while before participating. Here is a website which I am giving to you, which is conferencealert.in, which is showing you all the conferences which are happening all across India. So .in will show you all the conferences which are happening in India. So you can check the details which are already given to you. And if there is some good conference which is happening parallel to your work, and it satisfies all the parameters which I already mentioned, then you can go and participate in that particular conference. Next happens to be publishing paper in peer-reviewed journals. Now, this is a big fish. Publishing paper in conferences is relatively easy, but publishing paper in peer-reviewed journals, especially free journals, which will don't take any money from you, and especially publish your issues over there. So let's see how to go about this thing, because this is very important. This is what the all supervisors and guides looking for from their candidates. Look, what happens over here is that peer review is the evaluation of work by one or more experts with similar competence as the author of the work. Let us try to understand what is peer reviewing. Whenever you are putting your paper, there are a panel of experts which are having the similar competency or the adequate competency to evaluate the gravity of your research article, or to evaluate the gravity of your research work. And if they recommend so the gravity of the research work which you have quoted inside the research article or research paper is worth, then they will accept your paper, or they will put some review comments, or they will reject your paper. So this is what peer reviewing happens in peer reviewed journals. It again says peer reviewing process is intended to serve as a filter to ensure that only good quality or high quality research is published. Now, why, the question may be asked from your side, that sir, why reviewing is done if it is already a unique research work which I am quoting? So look, the purpose of reviewing your paper is to make sure that good quality, high quality research work should be published. This is the fundamental view by virtue of which reviewing is done. Now, here is a complete cycle which takes place while reviewing your paper. So I'll try to explain you. I want the concentration of everyone to be over here so that you will clearly understand that how a research article will be reviewed by the various reviewers. So initially author submits the article. How to submit it, there are a number of ways, so I will tell you all the ways. But then initially what author is going to do is going to submit an article, and once the article will be given to the editor will forward it to the reviewers. But if editor himself thinks so that the article is of not that caliber, then he straight away go and rejects it, so that is possible. But if the editor thinks so, now this is a good article, I can forward to the reviewer, so he can forward it to the reviewer. Then reviewer can access the article, and if it is good, then it will be directly accepted. But if it is having the scope to improve, then reviewers give you the review comments, and the paper is given for the revision. Now paper is given back to the author for the revision. Author makes the revision and again submit it to the editor. And if the editor thinks so that the revision is proper, he again gives to the reviewer. And if reviewer thinks so further reviewing is needed, he will do it. Otherwise, if the reviewer thinks so whatever the reviews have been done by the author are okay, then he will directly accept it or even reject it. Fine. So if the reviews which are made by the author are not okay, then reviewer even can reject it. But if the reviews which are made by the author are okay, then reviewer can accept it directly. And finally, after accepting, it will forward that to the production house, which will ask for CRC, camera ready copies and all. And finally, it goes to the publication, and where from your article get published. Now, let's come back to the discussion that what to do if I have to publish my paper in UGC care journals or in good reputed journals. Look, there are two ways to do that. There are some paid journals and there are unpaid journals or free journals. So there are some paid journals which will take some amount from you, but there are some unpaid journals which will publish your article freely. I will always suggest that please do not go for the paid journals, go for unpaid and free journals. This is my recommendation. Now, how to go about these journals, and whenever you are putting your paper in any of the journal, then what are the things which author need to check? The first and foremost thing which you need to check is that whether your journal where you are publishing your paper is it indexed in UGC care or not. Now, UGC care is a collection of very, very renowned and reputed journal houses, So if your journal where you want to publish your paper will be in UGC care journal, you can obviously go and publish your paper. You need to check if it is in SCOPUS or SCI or Web of Science. If these are good reputed, publishing houses. If your journal belongs to them, my recommendation is that yes, you can go and publish your paper in those journals. Now, what is the important thing which one has to mathematically analyze while putting the paper into any arbitrary journal? It's the impact factor. Now, how to evaluate the impact factor, or what actually the formula is there for impact factor calculation? Look, the impact factor calculation happens to be number of articles cited divided by total number of articles. Now, let us understand this, what actually it means. Suppose that I have launched a journal in 2000. And in the year 2019 to 2020, the total number of articles which are published in my journal are 100, and total number of articles which are cited by various authors or researchers are 50. So the total number of articles cited are 50, and total number of articles which I published are 100. So 50 by 100 happens to be 0.5. So this 0.5 happens to be my impact factor. This is how impact factors are calculated. Okay, I see number of journals which are paid. They show the impact factor of 3.0 and 4.0 and 5.0. But there are number of unpaid journals which have impact factor of 1.5, 1.2. These impact factor of 1.2 and 1.5 are very good in compared to the impact factor of 5.0 for paid journals. So I recommend you people to go for unpaid journals and also see the impact factor of that. Yeah, you also have to uniquely identify ISSN, that whether your journal is having ISSN number or not, and you need to also check that whether it is a peer reviewed journal or not, whether there's a peer reviewing process followed or not in that particular journal. Now, what is the submission process? If I am an author, I have drafted a paper. Now I want to submit the paper to these, houses. Then what I'll do is that first and foremost, that I can draft an email directly to the editor. Editor might have given his email address, so I can write an email to the editor and attaching my paper to it. So this is one of the way to do it. The second way, many of the journal publishing houses are giving a platform, and on that platform you can simply upload your paper, and then automatically it goes to the journal house and they will review it and they convey you the message of acceptance and rejection. And finally, some of the papers can be uploaded on third party portals. So there are some third party portals which are available. I don't name any because they are specifically working for some of the publishing houses. So there are a number of third party portals which are working. You go to those portals and upload your paper and it will be submitted to the corresponding journal houses. So there are multiple ways to submit your papers once you're done with the drafting. Yeah, now I'm giving an example of publishing the papers quickly, rapidly. So that is a trick which I want to share with you all. Actually, it's a trick which everyone get accustomed once I'll explore it to you. I'm giving an example of a SCOPUS index journal, which is a multimedia tools and applications. So this journal is a SCOPUS indexed journal where I want to put my paper and I want to know that whether my paper is going to publish rapidly or not. So let us consider that I am targeting this journal under Spring Gem. The journal happens to be multimedia tools and applications. So this is where I want to publish my paper. So what I'll do is that I'll submit my manuscript. Is if I want to publish or if I want to determine that how much days it will take so that I will submit the paper to this journal. So what we need to do is that you simply have to Google any of the journals which is matching to your research article. So let us consider I am working in artificial intelligence or say multimedia products. So I will choose this journal as multimedia tools and applications. And then inside that, look at this. Once I will go inside this particular journal, I'll get this observation. In this observation, it shows me that the impact factor of 2018 for this journal is 2.101. This is the impact factor, which is a good impact factor. And then it shows it takes 142 days to give first decision on acceptance or rejection. So this 142 days, which approximately happens to be say 5 months, 4.5 months. So it will take 5 months to respond to you that whether your paper will be accepted or not, or whether it takes further reviews. Look at the downloads. There are tremendous number of downloads which are available. So your paper, if published in this particular journal, will be going to get highly cited. And then it's going also giving the quantity of 5-year average impact factor, which is 1.8, which is good. And finally, it shows that submission to acceptance, it takes approximate 213 days, maybe publishing as well, 213 days. So in say 6 to 7 months time, your paper get published, accepted and published. So from this, you can get an idea that 6 months or 7 months, if I'm getting publication of my paper, then it's great. So look, I am opening any arbitrary topic into it, which is machine learning for intelligence decision making in biomedical field. So this is the arbitrary research article which I am opening inside it, which is published at volume 19 of 2020, which is the latest issue. And then in volume 19, look at this. This is the first article which is published, which is 3-dimensional OCT compressed sensing using the Charlotte translation sampling. And now I will show you some of the statistics related to this paper. Once I click that, I'll get this window which will ask me to download the PDF related to this paper. Look, this is free journal, right? So once you download this paper, yeah, this is how this paper will look alike. And finally, this is the crucial statistics which we need to, or we are interested in. In the statistics, if you can see over here, the paper is received on 7th of October 2019. So October 2019, the author have submitted this paper, and then a revision is asked in December 23. Okay, and acceptance is done in 27th December, and it is available online on March. So from October to March, so say like October, November, December, January, February, March. So within 6 months only, this paper get published over here. So once you see the statistics, that okay, this is a journal which is of my mean, which is matching to my research article, and this is the tentative tenure it is taking to publish the paper. So I can put my paper inside it and get it published maybe from 4 to 6 months time, rapidly and freely as well. So now you can go and apply to the editor of this particular journal and submit your paper over here. So this is the little observation or little statistical analysis which you used to perform to publish your article or your journal rapidly. Now this is it. That is it from my side, where I covered the research paper drafting and how to publish it in conference or reputed journals. Thank you very much. And this is the bottom line of our session today, which says research comes from the need of the society. If there are societal needs, then only research will be accomplished. If your research doesn't give any luxury to the society, it is of no way mean then. So thank you very much for patience listening. I expect if
Thank
any
you,
of the
sir.
queries are there, you can ask.
Yes, sir. We have been receiving constant queries regarding several points. So maybe we can clear some of them, such as some of them were having queries regarding the plagiarism part of it. So I think that can be cleared a little more.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Your voice is not clear. Can you?
Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, sir. So what I was saying is some of them were having queries regarding the plagiarism part of it.
Yes.
So can we make it a little clear about it?
Yes. I think I already told about it, that plagiarism consisting of two parts, like direct plagiarism and self plagiarism. Am I audible to you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So direct plagiarism and self plagiarism, and there are a number of tools which are operated by the publishing houses and the conferences to evaluate that whether the work is genuine, pure, or original or not. And by virtue of those tools, they used to check how much content of your paper or article is plagiarized, and if it is plagiarized more than 20%, then hello. Yeah, if it is plagiarized more than 20%, then it'll be not taken in consideration for publishing, or otherwise it'll be permitted for publications.
Okay, okay.
If
So
they
I
are,
hope that is clear for the attendees.
yeah, if they are,
Dr. Mohammed, sir, I have a question for you from one of our students. The student has requested us to explain a little bit about qualitative research and whether mixed method is accepted, and if yes, how much accessibility is there?
Can you repeat the question, please?
The student has a query regarding qualitative research, and the person is asking whether mixed method can be accepted. If yes, how much accessibility is there? Acceptability is there.
It depends. It depends, because you see that when you do the qualitative research, obviously mixed mode it's appreciable, but it totally depends, because you see that for any publishing, they want to see that whether there is some new thing or not, or if it is a review thing, whether that review giving any kind of discussion or not. Okay. So at the end, there should be a new thing, or whether it is favorable to others to proceed for their research or some other research or not. Otherwise, no, it will never be published.
Okay, okay. Dr. Vijay, sir, we have another query where asking whether UGC care journals and UGC approved journals, are they the same or are there any difference in it?
UGC care actually happens to be a unique portal given by UGC. Look, UGC approved means UGC Care journal carries all the list of the journals which are approved by UGC. UGC
Okay.
happens to be a body, while right.
Yes, yes.
UGC approved journals means all the journals which are there in UGC Care list. Uh,
Yes, yes.
Earlier there was a keyword which they are using as UGC approved. Now they are using the keyword as UGC Care. Even there are some updations into it in UGC Care list. Now, yeah, they are having category A, category B, category C, and category D journals, and they are updating their system every 6 months. So earlier they used the keyword as UGC approved. Now they are using the keyword as UGC Care journals.
Okay, okay. So I think that would have satisfied the person with the answer. We have another query whether are preprints good in using it as a reference? Are preprints good in using it as a reference? Yes.
Yeah, but not many. Let's say you have an article with 20 reference. You can put one. You have a 10, one. But obviously
Yes.
not out of 10 reference, you put 5 digits. No, you cannot. Preprints come one or
Okay.
two or three.
Okay, okay. Yes, yes. So, Dr. Ajay, sir, how can we find ISI journal list? Like, can you suggest a good way and some easy way to find out the good ISI journals?
Fundamentally, you can go to the ISI journals maybe listed in SCOPUS index as well, or you can write these keywords in Google. It will give you the entire list of journals which you want to find. Uh, Actually, there is no platform as such which is given. You are saying ISI, about ISI, no? Or
Yes,
IVI?
yes. ISI.
Yeah, there's no platform as such, but you can Google it and you can find thousands of journals. You can publish.
Okay, I will give the answer for this. I will help Dr. Vijay.
Yeah, sure, sure.
ISI listed journal, you must need to be a member of Web of Science,
Any of the
either
journal.
your institute or you personally. But obviously for Web of Science, if you want to get registered, it's not possible personally because it's too expensive. Okay, so you can do one thing. I'm pretty sure in India, some institute like IIT or someone is registered. Okay, so if you have any friend or anything, you can request them who can generate the PDF file from there, and you can get that one. Otherwise, if you Google, because you see that every June they update their next, Q1, Q2, they assign the impact factor they assign every June. So end of this June, the new years will come. So it is valid only for 1 year. So it's not that easy that you will get free in by browsing. No, you will not get. Very rare. But some maybe, but it's not that easy. So what is my suggestion? That either you will request some of your international friends, those, for example, in my university, it's registered. Okay, so easily we can see that which one is Q1 journal, which one is Q2 journal, what is their impact factor on all those things. Okay, so that is the only way to find out.
Okay, okay. We have another query asking whether we can give two affiliation of two places in the article. For example, one of the research institute and another from the working institute. Is it possible, sir?
Yeah, sure. It's not a problem.
Okay. So I hope the concerned person has got the answer. You can give two places for an affiliation.
Yeah, there was some technical issue. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, no problem, sir.
Yeah, you were asking something.
Yes. Dr. Maman sir has cleared that for the attendee, the query.
Okay.
And we also have another query regarding the difference between qualitative method and quantitative method.
Okay. Sir would like to comment on it? Or?
So please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look, for quantitative method of result analysis, there are a number of tools are available, or you can even have some tools, say like you can have the tools in machine learning or in deep learning, where quantitative analysis can be established. Even you can use some of the previous tools or already existing tools like SPSS. SPSS is also a good tool. So by virtue of these many tools, you can establish your quantitative, result analysis. But if you want to go about qualitative, look, qualitative, there are multiple ways to go about it because there are no quantities available into it. So it is little difficult. So either you can have interview, or you can have a questionnaire, or you can have a survey, or you can have opinions. So by virtue of that, you can capture the quality. Because if you are asking the same question to n number of people about a certain entity, and if they are responding in some manner, so by virtue of that responses, you can measure the quality. As there is no quantity available, so it's little bit the case of survey or interviewing the targeted audience. So this is how the daylight difference lies between quantitative result analysis and qualitative result analysis.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. So I hope our attendees are clear with the queries. If you have any more questions, kindly send across us through the chat box query. We'll be available here to answer all your questions. We have our keynote speakers, experts in this research area. And also, I would like to remind all our attendees who have joined us regarding the United Innovators, who is a research and development service provider providing all the end-to-end services such as PhD thesis writing, research article writing with Scopus, SCI, Web of Science, journal publications, PhD research proposal, end-to-end PhD assistance, and patent filing to PhD scholars, etc. So if you are interested, kindly click on them and you can get all your available requirements related to research and development. You can apply for it right now. The details have been given. I would also like to introduce to you the upcoming webinar of IFERP, which is right tomorrow on June 14th, where we'll be discussing on artificial intelligence getting used in impact of COVID-19. So if you haven't registered yet, kindly register and join us tomorrow at the same time at 4:30 p.m. Indian time. And you will be benefited from similarly keynote speakers from across the globe. So it is a great gathering. So please make sure you join us tomorrow as well.
There's a question actually which have been erected by Mr. Sahu, I think. Am
Yes,
I
sure,
am I
sir.
supposed to answer now?
Yes, yes, sure, sir. You can do it.
Okay, he's asking that how to reduce plagiarism. You need to write original contents. The plagiarism will be zero. It is as simple as it can be. But sometimes what happens is that you need to refer some work. So, Mr. Sahu, what you can do is that you can refer the work, no problem, but you can write it in your own way, of your own understanding, of your own investigations, of your own observations. And if you're putting your own thoughts about whatever the things or whatever the literature you explored, still there will be no plagiarism to it. So, referring the work is okay, no problem, but then write it in your own way so that the purity, the research ethics should be preserved.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, as long as hopefully mostly are students, okay, so obviously they need some shortcut. So I better tell you the shortcut, okay. Go through any software, existing software, which check that plagiarism, okay. When you will go through, they will generate the report. In the report, they will precisely tell you which paragraph, whatever it is, they catch it as a plagiarism. So what you need to do, let's say you got 2 lines, which they found, okay? Now change those 2 lines. Maybe it's a active voice, make it passive voice. You change it. So if you have access to those sites, And if you see those, whatever the plagiarism they are founding, in a, let's say you have 2 pages and they found, let's say, half pages in different places. So precisely you know that where you need to change. Just change those things. So this is a shortcut method to reduce the plagiarism. Ah, I think
Okay,
I
okay.
saw one question. Someone is telling that
Sure.
how to increase the citation.
Mm-mm.
Well, there are 2 kinds of citation. One is self-citation, one is the normal citation without self-citation. Basically, frankly speaking, people go through all. They hardly few places they go and see that what is it is self-citation or not. Obviously, there will be a balance. Let's say your H index when you found that all is self-citation. Obviously, it's a discredit. Okay, but to increase your citation, you obviously you will put your own citation. I mean your own reference. Plus, at the same time, your group, whoever is writing the article, they should also cite you. So you have the visibility, and that's why you see the group work, network. Why this networking and group? This is also one reason to increase your citation. Okay, so that your research should be visible to others, so that they will be interested to cite your work. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Any more queries? Attendees, kindly write to us on our chat box if you have any more queries. We'll be winding up soon. So before we wind up, let us know if you have any more clarifications. Okay, we have a question. If the research study is qualitative, does it mean to say to have a qualitative research title? Then same goes for quantitative.
Oh,
Who is that?
look, the qualitative research and the quantitative research, whatever the thing you are doing, either of the two cases, your title should be precise, and the keywords which you are using in that title, you should be in position to justify those keywords with your work. That is important, I think. Uh, Actually, if you can unmute that participant, then he can clarify the question, because the question seems to be a little bit tangled.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir, thank you so much. And I hope we have answered almost to all the queries that have been coming up. Any more points to be given to our attendees, sir, both of you?
Sir,
Yes.
please, you can.
Yeah, please, Dr. Vijay, please go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, okay.
Uh, Look, it's all about solving the problems of the society. Research is all about that. As now you can see, there's a huge problem which has been directed up across the globe. This pandemic has, unfortunately came accidentally. Now it's all about we people, where we need to shoulder the responsibility and have to provide the multiple solutions which are possible. Maybe by locating the hotspots, maybe by locating the predictive analysis, maybe by locating the remedial actions or the proactive actions which a system can take. So this is the responsibility which we need to shoulder, along with the governments, along with the health workers, along with the security people. I request all the researchers to go and write the articles in this particular horizon, in this particular vertical. Also, there are a number of research fields which are open for you. Go and do, enjoy research, make it as a hobby. Please draft original contents, get away from the plagiarism, and you'll find this is a very interesting field to work with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for those valuable comments and tips that you have given us. Dr. Maman, sir, for the winding up, what tip would you like to give to our attendees?
Uh, Actually, what Dr. Vijay said, it's already enough. But anyway, through today's lecture, I hope that everyone at least got some insight about how to write. You know, if you are a researcher, if you are an academic, and if you are a student, research student, there is no way that you can bypass this one. I mean, it's mandatory. You have to write. So when you have to write, so better follow ours and also from others and write it. Remember that as Dr. Vijay said, that it's a hobby. Frankly speaking, it's a hobby. Unfortunately, I couldn't start today the way I supposed to start usually for this lecture. I start with the motivational talk, okay? From my own experience, how I made the hobby and all these things. But anyway, what I want to say that make it a hobby, because it's not that tough. Once you are on the straight of this publication, you'll see that it's just very easy. So don't count 300, 500, 600, because the moment you learn, you'll see that whatever you are touching, it's becoming a good research paper. Okay? And lastly, this is really a dire situation in the world. I sincerely expect and suggest you, please take care. Don't go out much if it is not necessary. And just follow all the rules to be safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of our webinar. On behalf of the entire IFERP family, I would like to thank both our respected speakers, Dr. Ajay B. Gadeja and Dr. Mohammad Mamun Reis, for their tremendous presentations. I'm sure all our attendees out there are happy and thankful for all these informations and tips that we all will be benefited throughout our career. I would also like to thank all our attendees who have joined us this evening from the beginning and supporting us throughout. It is an honor to be part of this IFERP family with a large network of professionals from across the globe. So thank you all for joining us. Join us tomorrow also for the next webinar, which is on artificial intelligence. So at the same time, make sure you join us tomorrow as well. And for all those who have missed the live webinar, you can also watch us live, the recorded video on our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to receive the frequent research-oriented presentations from our experts. You can also follow up on our Facebook page and all other social media platforms to view our upcoming webinars and call for papers. So thank you all once again. It's great to see all of us together, even during this pandemic, and imparting knowledge to one another. So stay home, stay safe, and thank you all. Thank you, both of you, for this lovely evening. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. I would like to inform all the attendees who have been requesting for your certificates. You will be receiving an email with the procedure to download the certificates. You can log into your IFERP account, and once you log in, you can click on certificates and rewards to avail all your certificates, including your membership certificates. And for the presentations, with the permission of both our keynote speakers, we will be sharing the presentations to our attendees via email. So you can write us an email at webinar@iferp.in, and we will be surely sharing you all the presentations. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening to all who have joined us. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Good weekend. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Just a minute, madam. Hello.
Yes. Sure.
I'm actually exploring or going through number of questions over here. So
Yeah,
we
sure.
people on Facebook as well. Yeah, so people can reach out on Facebook and solve all the queries. There's no problem.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for this great evening. Thank you.